fact, the recycling rate in the United States only 35% and in California 37%, while the goal was 75% in 2020.
Welcome to Eco Alarm, the podcast where we break down major factors affecting the environment and explore what we can do to help. I'm your host, Imani.
And I'm your host, Bo.
And today we'll be talking to Aktan. Aktan is the founder of the TaBee app, which is a recycling pickup app where you can order services such as junk removal, shredding, and donation. So we're super excited to have Aktan here today.
It's great to have you here today. To start off, would you mind just kind of introducing yourself, running through your background?
Hi guys, my name is Aktan Musher. I'm an international student from Kazakhstan, pursuing a master's degree in petroleum engineering. Overall, I have 15 years of experience in the oil production industry.
And you mentioned you were from Kazakhstan. Can you tell us a little bit more about, your experiences there versus in America?
There is a big difference between waste management industry in Kazakhstan and the United States, because in the United States, separate collection of waste has existed since 1980s, while in Kazakhstan it began to be introduced maybe 5 years ago. It means that the waste management industry in the United States, particularly the recycling industry, is more effective in terms of preventing recyclables from ending up in landfills. But despite this fact, the recycling rate in the United States only 35% and in California 37%, while the goal was 75% in 2020. But the good thing for Kazakhstan is that our population is much smaller and any reform can be implemented very fast. So our government has developed a new waste management program which requires all businesses producing or importing in Kazakhstan any plastic packages and bottles to pay a recycling fee. This fee is being used to support local waste management companies and small businesses sorting out recyclables. And another important fact is that in Kazakhstan, the number of people pursuing zero waste is growing up exponentially. There are similarities too. When I first tested the TaBee app in Kazakhstan, in our capital city, Astana, I was surprised how many people downloaded the app and sent their feedback showing their public's concern about recycling issues. When I started testing in Los Angeles, I got similar feedback and, more importantly, similar app users. So both in Kazakhstan and in the United States, app users are young people.
Yeah, that's really interesting to kind of see it from an international perspective, especially comparing the two countries. And you also mentioned that you had a lot of experience, 15 years of experience working in the oil industry. I was just really curious about what was the turning point, what kind of led you to transition into environmental related work?
I've been familiar with environmental problems since childhood because my mother worked in the environmental lab of an oil company. I often visited her laboratory where for the first time I not only heard about pollution but also saw contaminated water and soil. In addition, the oil company where I work has very high environmental requirements. So therefore my interest in environmental problems is not fortuitous. When I first arrived in Los Angeles, I expected to see a beautiful oceanfront city as shown in the movies, but the reality shocked me because the furniture, household appliances, mattresses, sofas that were left on the streets looked very ugly. But later I found out that there is a city provided service for the heavy and bulky items removal. But anyway, the appearance of all this old furniture on the streets looked very ugly for me. Then I found out about the bottle recycling program in California and about a Great Pacific Garbage Patch, an island of plastic bottles that was accidentally discovered off the coast of California. Also, I read a lot of articles about issues related to waste and recycling. So I went to the idea of creating an application for mobile recycling center step by step.
Yeah, that's a great story. And yeah, it's interesting to see. You think, if Los Angeles were so like progressive and like eco-friendly, but then you go and, there's still waste. There's still things that can be improved. And I'm really glad that you and TaBee are helping to solve that. Yeah, I'm kind of a little bit curious to why you started TaBee.
To make difference, not money. So when I got the idea of Uber for recycling, so I first hired a patent firm to see if there were similar apps or registered patents. So the result was promising, and the search showed that no applications or registered patents similar to my idea were found. So I decided to hire software engineers to develop the MVP. So this was my first experience in such as businesses, and I only had a basic understanding of programming. So it was 2 years ago. So after creating the prototype, I started looking for investment, and as a result, was accepted into the Cleantech Open West 2019 Business Acceleration Program of Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator. So initially, I aimed to optimize pickups of beverage bottles covered by California Redemption Value Program. So I learned that in 2018, 24 billion bottles were sold and only 18 billions were recycled. So what do you think where 6 billion bottles are? So maybe in Great Pacific Plastic Batch, so who knows? So the situation also worsened when China increased its requirements for the contamination rate of imported recyclable materials. So recycling business became less profitable, and California's statewide recycling rate dropped from 44% in 2016 to 37% in 2019. And I was like, bingo, the blue ocean. But it turned out that it was a violation of the law to pick up bottles in the way that I suggested. So despite the fact that it is obvious that the mobile recycling center using my app is more efficient than a stationary recycling center. So I had to stop developing the idea of the mobile centers or leave it maybe until the law was changed that would allow picking up bottles through the app and redeem to residents the recycling fee paid by them when they purchase the beverage bottles. Then I switched to textile waste because the fashion industry is the second polluter industry in the world. Fortunately, in order to pick up unwanted clothing and textiles scraps, no special permits or license are required. So in order to test the app, I made an agreement with a Marimol textile recycling company and began advertising on Instagram and Facebook. So currently, residents and businesses in LA can recycle with TaBee their clothing, textile scraps, sneakers, and wine coats. So my goal is to test and develop an app to expand in the United States. So to do this, I want to develop a new business model to pick up recyclables that typically banned from recycling bins. So I interview people in enterprises permanently. So far, I figure out that the TaBee app might be useful for small businesses, self-employed, and non-profits. So I think that TaBee can be considered as a social enterprise. So last year, I was accepted into the California Green Business Association. My goal is to have at least one partner company providing service through the TaBee app in each city of the United States.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And especially when you were talking before about having the collection of plastic bottles be illegal in the US, like that's besides the designated places that they have, but even if you just want to go and pick up some bottles and, make a business out of that, it's crazy how we can't even do that given that, we have this great patch of water bottles somewhere that they discovered, who knows what's going on.
So I think the main problem of the recycling is that people are too busy or too lazy to go somewhere, right? So they need to have a truck or car. They need to spend some time. So they just prefer to toss everything in a trash bin. This problem.
Yeah. And ways that, we can make it easier. It just seems like they're trying to prevent that for some reason. So something to look into.
Yeah, that was definitely super informative for our listeners to have that background, to know why an app like this needs to exist to improve the recycling scene. So would you mind elaborate on how exactly the app works?
It's very simple. So initially, the idea was based on Uber's business model. So the app user requests a pickup order for recyclables, and the company registered in this area fulfills the pickup order after it receives a sufficient number of pickup requests. So it's the same like Uber mobile, right? When you try to get a ride using an app. But instead of ride, you can get rid of your recyclables. But now I have changed my vision, so my plan to develop an aggregator that will connect everyone who is concerned about the issues of recycling, sustainability, production, and selling eco-friendly goods and services. So to do this, I need a team. So if someone interested in joining my team, please direct me my Instagram, TaBee app. Very easy to find. So you can see the B.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be shouting that out on our Instagram once, this episode goes up. So definitely DM him if you're interested in working for TaBee. A little curious though, like, why is it called TaBee? I feel like many people might be asking.
Yeah, so the first name was very complicated, even for Americans. So the first name was Mobile Recycling Center. It was a big mistake because people just saw that we recycle mobile phones, right? And I spent maybe 3 months to invent a new name for the app, for that app. And my young sister, Makpal, she just did it maybe less than 1 minute. So it was invented by my young sister. So this is an abbreviated word from tabigat, which is translated from Kazakh language as a nature. But originally this word is from Arabic. So we just use TaBee connected with the bees, because the bee is a very important chain in the nature.
Yeah, so you mentioned that recycling education needs to be improved both in a social sense and also, I guess, at schools like USC. So would you mind kind of going into more details about what do you think that we're doing wrong that we need to get better at?
So I think my goal is not only to pick up, say, to decrease waste on or pick up for recycling every recyclables. So I think the main problem is that people lack of education about recycling. So the idea of app is to spread awareness about importance of recycling. And so I think we should be taught, so not only about recycling, but about conscious consumption, so that in each discarded piece of paper, a person would see a tree that gives us oxygen, so we can breathe and live. In a small piece of plastic, he would see a fish that would swallow microplastic and then get on our table and get in our body, in the plastic. And business should not set as primary goal of making a profit, but think about how they can reduce the harmful impact of the environment caused by their activity. Because I choose, for example, pick up textiles because it's second pollutant in the world. So to make only one t-shirt, it spends about 1,000 liters of water. So it's very difficult and maybe impossible to explain people that the money is not important, right? So let's see what kind of surprise we'll get from Mother Nature next time if we don't stop wasting nature resources like water.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I really like the analogy you give, or also the imagery of kind of having these images printed in people's heads so that we can be more conscious whenever we make a purchase decision or the waste decision. And also I've seen lots of environmental campaigns using similar strategies, just kind of connecting the nature, sort of like seeing the impact that we're making. Because a lot of times it could be hard to put words into actual, I guess, just images into people's head.
But yeah, that kind of wraps up with the podcast, unless there's anything last minute you want to tell our audience.
So what can I say? Just download my app, because I'm working on including new recycling programs. So the next recycling program I want to start is to pick up e-waste, single-use batteries, and other hazardous materials.
Okay, so that will wrap up our episode for today. If you would like to connect with Aktan and TaBee, you can follow them on Instagram at TaBee_app. Or if you're interested in joining Aktan's team, I know he's looking for new people, you can go to their website at tabeecoservices.com and connect with him there. If you're interested in Eco Alarm and what we're doing, the best way to keep up with us is over on our Instagram. So that's at Eco Alarm Podcast. And you can also keep up with us on our website, www.ecoalarmpodcast.com. And with that, thank you guys and have a great day.